and watched the UFOs. There was quite a rash of them at that time here. And while she was a reporter and would be in her office on 6th Street, was where she was encountered with the men in black. And she would tell me as we talked over the fence how frightened she was of the men in black.
Could you tell us some of the things? What would they be talking with her about?
They did try to get her not to write about these stories any longer. She thought they were aliens, actually, disguised as humans and were from somewhere else.
Why do you think she thought that? Did she give you any reason?
Because of their look and their complexion and never blinking their eyes and that type of thing.
After talking about Mary Hire with Dottie, we walked across the property that used to be her backyard toward the spot where she and her family witnessed this huge flying saucer above their house during a summer cookout.
We encountered this UFO that went over the house right in this area. It was a large, long, cylinder-type craft. It was huge. It was probably 3 house lengths long.
She's like the grandma that everyone wants to have. I have a hard time thinking that this person is making up a shred of anything. Now, was it high in the sky or low? Or?
It was low. It was treetop high.
Dottie, did you file a report on this UFO?
We did call the police. The city policeman came and we were telling him about it, and he said, "What have you folks been drinking?" You know, we said, well, "This is a teenage party. We've had Cokes." And that's about it. So he left, and we didn't even talk about it again.
My suspicion is that Bill and Debbie they don't really know what to think. They recognize that there are credible witnesses, but they don't seem to be willing to take the leap into thinking, hey, maybe this Mothman represents some kind of strange reality that actually may have existed here at Point Pleasant.
Coming up, the team retraces Mothman's steps in the thick wilderness he once roamed.
This is creepy.
And attempts to lure him back out of the darkness. When Sci-Fi Investigates continues.
After a day of interviewing eyewitnesses, we decided to spend the night in the area where the Mothman was first sighted. It's a wildlife reserve the locals call the TNT area, since the military used to make and store bombs out here. That's where Bill and I went looking for some evidence as to why the Mothman might have been here those 40 years ago.
I was 10 when all this happened. Everybody said there's a huge bird chasing cars in the TNT area. So
we met with Denny, who seems to be a bit of an expert in the history of the TNT location.
Well, you know, you're in the McClintock Wildlife Area, known locally to the locals here as the TNT area, since that's what they manufactured out here.
This is huge.
Well, there's 6,000 acres out here.
While we were walking around in this jungly place on this path, it was definitely kind of a creepy experience, and I was imagining the thing with big red eyes came out of that jungle, and I saw it. Wow, I would be really impressed.
The paths are kind of overgrown, and there's the canals that look like a swamp thing could just crawl right out of it. Denny told us that when the explosive plant closed years ago, toxic waste seeped into the ground and polluted the water. In fact, this whole area is a Superfund site.
I'm really interested in this business of toxic material in the groundwater. Do you know, and especially because certain people, I believe, have said or hypothesized that Mothman might have been a mutant creature that was created by the toxic waste here. What do you think about that?
You know, a lot of people thought it was a mutant sandhill crane, but of course there's a lot of water birds out here, but you can't even get near a crane. I mean, much less something that would come up to your car and get after you. So
I mean, there's just so many square miles of lush, overgrown forest, and you could get lost in a matter of 30 seconds. It's easy to believe that people would think there's something living out there.
Well, we're going to go take a look at some igloos, some of the old powder magazines that were out here.
And then we started going down this trail to find one of these igloo munition storage locations and actually go in and look at it.
There's a lot of places to hide out here, and a lot of people speculated that these igloos were some of the places where the bird hid.
I feel like Indiana Jones now. Holy moly.
kind of get an idea, see, you know.
This is creepy.
It's essentially a half sphere of concrete. So the walls are hard concrete, the floor is hard concrete, the echoes are incredible. Is this all powder on the ground? I mean, like, drop a match and we're dead?
Well, I don't know.
And then Bill decided it'd be a good place to do some Mothman calls.
I'm really interested in the sounds that these creatures make. And Robin, that we met with last night, said it made a certain kind of sound. And I asked her to imitate it, and we went back and forth until she said, yes, you've got it.
Well, if the Mothman had showed up in the silo, we had nowhere to run. I mean, the place was just a big, cavernous thing. To be shining flashlights around, and you never knew, you know, if you were going to come across two red eyes, and that's what I kept looking for, those two glowing red eyes. In your opinion, you personally, do you believe in Mothman?
I think something was out here, definitely.
So after our tour of the TNT area and it got a little dark, we made sure the fire was good and roaring.
And our boy Rich whips out his trusty harmonica and starts going to town.
Next thing I know, the rest of the gang's singing the Mothman song to Dixie.
45 minutes later, it's like we're doing a Broadway musical. I mean, we're really getting into it.
In a little town in West Virginia, that's where we came to find the creature. Fly away, fly away, fly away, Mothman.
Rob was at the top of his game while we were composing this song.
Everybody got to flap. Everybody flap.
I'll flap too.
Even you flap. Mothman, Mothman, I wish I saw.
Pretty indicative of the way our team works. We're like four completely individual people with different points of views.
Hey, good boy.
But when we come together, things sound all right.
Coming up, Rob strips down and gears up to look for long-lost evidence in the Ohio River.
The first problem came up the second I jumped in the water.
Plus, will the team unravel the link between Mothman and UFOs?
I said, people never believe what we're seeing right now.
Do you think they were aliens?
When the sun came up on the last day of our investigation, we still had nothing more than other people's memories of Mothman to go on. Then I remembered something Marcella told us her uncle saw the day the Silver Bridge collapsed.
And he told me that within 3 hours that there was a creature, like you saw, Marcella, flying towards that bridge.
Since Rob is a certified diver, we decided we would take a chance. Rich and Rob agreed to go down to the river to look for clues that might have been overlooked in the original investigation. While Bill and I took one last look around the TNT area.
So you actually gonna wear a wetsuit or you just keep your clothes wet?
Are you kidding me? Could you go in that water without a wetsuit?
Not me.
Exactly. I really wanted to see the wreckage of the cars, the bridge, what was still down there. Just see if they missed anything.